Hi there, I'm Miki Tebeka, and this is a companion video to our blog post about querying databases using plain English. And what we're going to do is see how we can work with an LLM from Go. And the idea is like that. We are going to have your code, and then there's the LLM. And there is some data in a database, and we want to ask the database some question. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say to the LLM, hey, the user asked that question, give in a database schema and the question, what is the SQL that I need to run? And then the LLM returns me an SQL. What I'm going to do then, I'm going to execute this SQL on the database. And this is a security hazard, so you need to check out, we don't do that here in the blog post, but you need to check out that there's no actually insert or delete only select statements inside, and then the database is going to return us results. Now, once we have that, we are going to call the LLM again, and LLMs do not have any memory. So now we need to provide them again, generate an answer giving the question, which we already passed here, but it doesn't remember, the SQL we use to query the database and the results. And what we're going to do is we're going to convert the results to CSV because the LLM understands only text, and the LLM then, given all of that, is going to return the answer for us. So, I'm sorry about my mouse, it's going to connect and disconnect from while to while, but don't worry about that. To run the models, we are going to use our own Kronk. Kronk enables you to run models from Go, either as a server, and this is how we're going to use it, but also, and this is very awesome, by embedding it inside your Go program. So you don't need to run any server. You still need to run these models, so you need to download them to somewhere, but Kronk enables you to run them directly from your code. Okay, so let's go over the code and see what's going on. So here are the imports. We import a bunch of stuff from the standard library, and we have two external imports. One is DuckDB, and this is the database that the data is. So you see here, there's a file called bikes.ddb. This is the database. And if you're going to run DuckDB on bikes.database, and let's say ask what the schema is, we see that we have two tables. One for the station, telling us where the stations are located and what the status, and one for every trip, the bike ID, when people took it, the duration, and other information. And we can run queries here, and that's what we're going to ask the LLM basically to generate these queries for us. Okay. So this is DuckDB, and the second one, we're going to use LangChain. LangChain basically gives you a unified way to access a lot of LLM providers, and we're going to use the OpenAI provider. Now, I told you at the beginning, we're actually using Kronk, but Kronk implements the OpenAI protocol, so we're going to do that. So these are the imports, and now let's have a look. First, we have the two prompts. These are using Go Embed. They're actually in a text file instead of embedded here in the file. And let's have a look at them. So there is one for the SQL, and this is saying these are the instructions for you. And then given these instructions, so convert a user query into SQL, giving the following schema, and we give it the database schema so the LLM knows how to generate the SQL. And we say, do not explain your answer, only return SQL statement without any markdown or other decorations. Now, from my experience, sometimes they do even if you tell them return markdown, so you might need to clean it up. We're not doing that in the code, but this is maybe something you can do. And then we put the user query here. The second one is the second prompt that we're going to ask, right? So this is the first one that we're going to ask, and this is the second prompt that we're going to ask, and this is the one with the final answer. Provide an answer to the user question with the following results from the database. And then we say, this is the user question, this is the SQL query, and this is the database results in a CSV format. So now we give all the information again to LLM to generate that. So these are the two prompts that we're going to use. Next, we have rows to CSV. This is a function. I'm not going to go over it, but it converts SQL.rows, which is something internal to Go, to a string, because when we talk with LLMs, we can talk only with text. So if you're curious about how it's done, go ahead and look at it. Look at the blog post. There's a link to the repo, and all of the code is there. The main thing and the interesting function is query LLM. So the query LLM gets a context, gets a connection to an LLM, gets that connection to the database and the user question. So first we do is generate the first prompt, which asks the LLM for SQL. So we do the SQL prompt, and then we call the LLM. Once we call the LLM, we issue a debug, and this is not going to show unless you set the debug flag, the debug environment variable, sorry. So you can do that, and this is really helpful when developing with the LLM because you always want to see the intermediate result and see what's going on. This is allowing you to tweak your prompts and see what's going on with that. So once we got the SQL, we can query the database with that SQL. And again, be careful here. Add some code here to make sure that the SQL you get contains only select statement and not something else. Once we got the rows, we convert them to a CSV format, and now we can generate the final prompt. The second one, right? This is the one that we're asking here, that giving generate an answer, given the question, the SQL, and the results. And once we ask the LLM this one, we can finally go down and see the answer, and this is returning the answer from that. So this is one flow, and we're going to do several of these. Now let's have a look at main. In main, we have two things that we are setting up. We're looking if there is a debug environment variable, and if so, we are setting a new logger as the default logger for slog with debug level, meaning that now debug prints are going to show, debug logs, sorry, are going to show. Otherwise, if you don't set this environment variable, you're not going to see them. Second is the base URL. By default, Kronk is running on your local machine on 8080, but there may be other scenarios. For example, most of the time I run Kronk on a Mac menu that is always working, and I'm working with it with my laptop. So there is a different API. Now we start to create what we need. So first we're creating the OpenAI LLM. This is coming again from LangChain Go. We tell it this is the base URL because OpenAI by default goes to the servers of OpenAI. OpenAI also requires an authentication token. Kronk does not require anything, so we just give it an X. Pick anything. Kronk is just going to ignore it. And finally, with the model. And you're going to ask, which model should I choose? And this is a very interesting question. You're not alone. Picking a model can be really daunting, but you can have a look at an article that Bill published lately about navigating Hugging Face, which hosts a lot of models for Kronk. And he explains in this which are the models, what are all of these letters mean, and which one you should probably get for what you're doing. So I played around with several. This one works well. I don't have a lot of memory also on my machine. You're going to see it in a bit when we run it. So this one is a small model, but still pretty performant. And second, we, of course, open a connection to the database. Now we have everything that we need. So I'm using the background context, but you can decide that every time you give the maybe a second, maybe 2 seconds to answer, we print something, and then we basically do a loop. And this loop is going to print this prompt, and then get the user answer, query the LLM with the user question, sorry, not the user answer, the user question, and then print the answer. And that's it. Finally, we print chat. Right? So if you're going to do it, we can do go run dot, and then I can ask how many rides in the database. And then it's going to think, and as I told you, my machine is not that strong, so it's going to take a little bit of time to think about that. And then you see, even though we told them the LM not to generate markdown, it did that, so cleaning markdown even. So let's ask again how many rides in the database. And this time you see it returns a clean SQL query without the markdown around it. So there are almost 650 writes in the database. Now, if you want to have a look, you can, at the intermediate results, you can do debug equal any value and then go run this. And then ask again how many writes in the database. And then you see the intermediate result, right? You see select count of trip ID from trips. This is the SQL. And then we see the CSV that the data that we got is count of trip ID, and this is the number. And finally, we have the result. The database contained, again, roughly 650,000 requests. And if you look at the code, right, we are at about 150 lines of code. And this is not a lot. And if you think about the days before LLMs, to create such a system that answers queries about a database answered in a plain English, it would have been really, really a lot of code to write. So I hope I convince you that working with LLMs in Go is not that difficult. And we'll continue on with the next blogs in the sequence.